Very much. August 2nd, the deadline's ticking, as you know, toward a possible default on the nation's debt if Congress can't come to agreement on how to cut federal spending. So a lot of us are asking, with all the talk about what it may mean to interest rates and your investments, what do you do? Our guest today is local independent financial analyst and advisor Dave Wintley. Thanks for being with us. People are saying if I have stock funds, bonds, Treasury money market funds, what do I do? What's your best advice to people worried about their investments, modest or otherwise?
Well, I think the first thing they should do is maybe take a deep breath and relax. I always tell people to call their financial advisor. That person knows what they're investing in and what the expectations are. Other than that, I would advise them to do very little. I see a lot of people trying to head off short-term events by tinkering, and the outcome is rarely what they want to have. They usually do more harm than they do good.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, and our viewers at home, if you're well-diversified, a long-standing rule of thumb, stand pat and hold tight right now, Dave.
I do. Exactly, Michael, exactly. My own opinion is they will reach some kind of agreement. I know we're in the 11th hour. I know there's a lot of rhetoric, there's a lot of headlines, a lot of brinksmanship, but I do see them as coming to an agreement and heading this off. If the unthinkable were to happen, I think the negative would be very brief. The markets would go south, they would sell off very quickly, but I think they would recover. But I don't think we're going to get there.
But this goes to the point you just made, that you always need to make sure your investments are diversified so that when you come to points like this, you can weather the storm, even if it happens to be a big one in this case, and we simply don't know at this point.
We don't know. This is unprecedented. We've never been here before. So we really don't know what's around the bend if they don't reach an agreement. But yes, exactly. Proper diversification, owning quality investments. And I would say to anybody investing in a 401k with his or her company, continue to make the payments like clockwork. Look at this as a very short-term event that will have very little long-term or lasting effect on your investments.
How do you look at this, though, in terms of a global perspective, Dave, in terms of what it may mean on a downgrade of U.S. credit? Do you see that happening? Do you think it will have profound long-term impact for the nation and its standing as the leader in the global financial market?
I think the global financial markets will always look positively on the U.S. government and its ability to pay its debt. Even if we do meet the deadline, there could be a downgrade from one of the rating agencies down the road. That could happen. But I do think the global financial markets are smart enough to know that this is probably the safest place on the planet to put your money. So it wouldn't look good for us as in terms of fiscal management. It would be more fiscal mismanagement. But I think ultimately we would shoulder that and we would handle that okay.
Dave Wintley, independent investment advisor here in the West Palm Beach area, offering advice that to stay calm and let's see how the events play out. And as always, as you said, Dave, talk to your own advisor if you have concerns.
Correct.
We appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
And things are moving so quickly with all of this up in Washington, because just as you were speaking to Dave Wintley, the House of Representatives decided to postpone its vote on the debt limit plan.
Well, and this may speak to something we heard about, that suddenly the House Speaker John Boehner does not have the 218 votes he needs. It begs the question, why would you go to the floor or even think about going to the floor? This speaks about how hard it's going to be for the Republicans alone to agree on a plan, much less get a compromise with Democrats who say no deal on anything you do. So this is at least a mini embarrassment, and some will regard it as much more than a mini one for the House Speaker, however temporary it may be.
More throughout